各位好，欢迎收看专题报道，我是主持人宋维佳。世界银行最近一份报告再度确认香港为全球最佳的营商环境之一。香港于每项营商环境均排名第2，仅次于新加坡。今年香港于缴纳税款的方便程度上排名全球第3位。香港的总体环境是否如报告所示，还存在哪些薄弱的环节呢？
Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of Future News. I'm Cassie Song in Hong Kong. Today joining us the program is the chairman of the Economic Policy of the Committee of Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce, Mr. James Riley. Hello James. So a recent World Bank survey has confirmed Hong Kong's position as one of the most positive global business environments. But the property registration in Hong Kong takes longer time than Singapore's. So how would this affect the competitiveness of the Hong Kong's business environment in your side?
I think the competitiveness of Hong Kong is driven by a variety of factors. So the speed with which business registration can take place is one small feature of many. And I think there are a lot more important things than that in terms of Hong Kong competitiveness. I think most of all, from a competitiveness point of view, are some of the key elements of Hong Kong society: the freedom of speech, the rule of law, the well-established position of the financial services community within Hong Kong, the legislative structure, and indeed the degree to which, from a business point of view, people have a very open, free economic environment in which to operate. So I think business registration, it's one small element, and it doesn't take that long in Hong Kong. It's more a feature of the fact that Singapore has worked out a way of doing it quicker.
In 2009, there are some news reports, despite Hong Kong's position as one of the most positive global business environments, actually the integrated strength is lagged behind at that time. But does Hong Kong see any improvement yet?
Whilst I say that Hong Kong is extremely competitive, no one in this life can afford to be complacent. And it is critical, therefore, that at all times one continues to focus on ensuring that we keep examining ways in which we can be more competitive. There are always more things Hong Kong can do to improve. We can reduce the degree to which red tape and bureaucracy slows down the pace of business. We can reduce the problems with actually getting approvals done. We can free up the labour market in terms of making it easier to get workers into Hong Kong. I think there are many things that can be done to improve competitiveness, but if one then looks at it relative to somewhere like Singapore, I think then there are two features. There is the real practicalities underlying it, and there Hong Kong is not as good as Singapore in a number of specific ways from a regulatory point of view. However, it has certain massive advantages. It is part of China, it's in China, and as such, for people wishing to do business in China, it is a vastly better place from which to be operating, to be moving into China. At the same time, the perception would be it is also an ideal location for businesses within China to be using as a launch pad or a base from which to be expanding into other parts of the world.
You've mentioned that Hong Kong is a part of China. So what do you see? How can Hong Kong get any benefits from China as being part of China? Can you elaborate more on this point?
I think it is already getting enormous benefits as part of China.
For example,
it is a natural position that people wishing to invest in China are able to come and establish in Hong Kong very easily and freely. The whole system in Hong Kong is a relatively easy one in which to operate. So people coming from Europe, from North America, from other parts of the world find investing and coming to do business in Hong Kong very easy. And having established a base here, it is very easy, relatively speaking, for them to operate in China. Now, it's not the same as being within the mainland itself, but at the same time, having got a base this close with the benefits of the CEPA regulations and other things that enable one to operate from Hong Kong into China freely, it gives them an ideal platform. And it's not only in China, because from here, their ability to then set up regional centres. Hong Kong provides an ideal launching pad in a Chinese environment, but that also is very familiar with the Western environment as a base from which to launch and develop. It also provides the ideal market from a financial point of view in terms of raising capital. It's an international market but it's one that's closely accessed and linked to the mainland. And so for Chinese companies looking to expand internationally, it's an ideal market in which to raise funds. And for Western markets and companies looking to invest into China, it can again be a very good base from which to raise funds.
The supply of Hong Kong's residential, commercial, and industrial buildings are inadequate, and the price is expensive. But there are still a large number of foreign enterprises to set up offices in Hong Kong. What is the reason of that?
At the moment, for commercial office space, Hong Kong would benefit from more prime grade A office space. There is no doubt of that. But the fact that people are still looking for space here is a reflection of the fact of the competitive advantages of Hong Kong.
Yep.
If Hong Kong doesn't, on the commercial side, ensure that it has adequate space moving forward for the next 10, 15 years, then it will have a competitive disadvantage, because people, whilst they might prefer to move to Hong Kong, will say, well, if I can't find the space I need, I will need to go somewhere else. On the residential side, I think the point is slightly different. It's more a feature of cost. I mean, the very high cost of residential accommodation in Hong Kong does represent something of a barrier. The fact that people still want to come here is a reflection of how competitive Hong Kong actually is.
In terms of investor protection, credit access, and the tax regime, would you analyze the advantages and the disadvantages in Hong Kong?
I think the most crucial advantage of Hong Kong is the strength of the rule of law here. Having a legal system with which everyone has to comply and which is internationally recognized as being robust and solid and fair is crucial, I think, to business generally, to the financial services sector in particular. And that obviously is the element that gives Hong Kong most competitive advantage. You mentioned tax. I think tax has always historically been a very important competitive advantage of Hong Kong. That advantage has been eroded over the last few years as other territories within the region have brought down their tax rates. And today, the competitive advantage, I think, from a tax point of view is modest, certainly compared to Singapore, but even compared to a number of other markets within the region. At the same time, Hong Kong does have a very simple tax regime, and that is an advantage.
Okay, thank you, James, for taking this interview today. Thank you for watching this edition of Feature News. See you next time.